Howdy, this is Lemmy with RevZilla TV, here to talk to you today about the Vance and Hines line of exhaust for the Sportster family. So, if you've purchased yourself a Sportster, no doubt you're thinking about what you're going to do to modify it because everybody modifies a Harley Davidson, and if you are modifying it, you are probably going to start with the exhaust. If you're doing so, Vance and Hines is a name that should be at the top of your list. Now, if you're considering a Vance and Hines exhaust, there's three things that it's going to do for you. Firstly, it's going to make your bike sound good. Secondly, it's going to make your bike look good. And finally, in the case of a Vance and Hines full system, like the short shots you see in front of me, it's going to make your bike perform better. Vance and Hines is cranking these out for a wide variety of bikes. Within the Sportster family, there's really something for just about every Sportster that is Evo based. So really 86 and forward, you're going to have an option from Vance and Hines for your motorcycle, and likely you're going to have quite a few options. We want to break a couple of them down for you today, like the straight shot series of mufflers you see with me here, or also the big radius you see on the Sportster behind me. We're going to kind of let you know the ins and outs of some of those systems. Installation is not particularly difficult. On a system like the short shots, you're probably looking at about a 2 out of 3 beard difficulty level in terms of installation. And on something like the straight shots mufflers, you're probably looking only about a 1 out of 3. So, getting right into things, let's chat about specifically what it is that makes Vance and Hines special in a sea of competitors. The first thing I love, these things are made in USA. Vance and Hines controls just about every step of their exhaust making in-house, which I really like. It allows them to provide a superior product because they're keeping their eye on it the entire way down the production line. Now, these things are really made solidly. You can see here, everything's MIG welded on these puppies, real solid welds. It's a real heavy piece, which you can't feel, but this is definitely a quality piece made for the life of the bike. This particular piece, as well as all of the other ones you see, are actually computer bent, and then they are checked by hand by a real live human being in a jig to make sure that you're getting a properly fitting pipe. Vance and Hines exhausts just always fit. It's one of the nice parts about them. Now, we talked earlier about these things making your bike look nice, and part of that is due to the finish. You can see on these things, the chrome is absolutely beautiful, and one of the other parts that's nice is on their black finishes. They work very, very carefully to make sure that they have a finish that matches up very, very closely to an OEM HD finish. If you check out this Sporty behind me here, and you look at the big radius on there, it looks like it could have come out of the factory. They do a great job of matching Harley finishes, so if you're really trying for that all black look, this is going to blend in very nicely with the other items on your bike. So in terms of construction and in keeping your bike looking great, let's sort of talk about how Vance and Hines does that. One of their secrets is the 222-degree full coverage heat shield. As you can see here, this heat shield is actually quite enormous, and the reason is it is that 222-degree radius. Vance and Hines is the progenitor of this. And the reason this is so effective is kind of threefold. Firstly, it keeps your pipes from bluing. I'm sure you've all been running down the road and you see some guy with chrome pipes and they look nasty blue and gold up at the head pipe because the heat has just sort of blitzed them. It turns them crispy and they look terrible. Vance and Hines prevents that with their 222-degree shield. Now, one of the secrets to Vance and Hines pipes we're actually going to fill you in on right now is that they're all chromed. The reason they chrome them is because it's very weather resistant. It's a great finish. It keeps the steel in good shape. However, on their black pipes, which are also chromed, they get the black look by having this heat shield here. That's specifically what it is that's going to make your pipes look black, and the finish on them is fantastic, as we just discussed. It's just like a Harley OEM finish. It looks really nice. It matches fantastically. So, one of the other cool parts about these 222-degree heat shields is firstly, they're going to keep you and your passenger safe because they cover so much of that hot exhaust pipe and they actually stand off the pipe considerably. They're going to keep you from suffering a terrible, terrible burn or your passenger from suffering a burn. Now, in addition to keeping the bikes blue-proof, what it also does is by preventing things from burning and sticking to the pipe, it means if you happen to get your rain gear or you happen to get your boot up against the pipe, unlike traditional pipes will just fry and you'll have this big nasty stain that's baked in there, these won't do that. So that's kind of a nice feature of those 222-degree shields, and it's part of the reason that Vance and Hines has sold so many of these exhausts, because they really do look good for years and years and years. In terms of selection, you have the more affordable mufflers only system, as we talked about, and then you also have the more expensive but also more power producing full systems. As far as figuring out which one is right for you, you do want to keep in mind these systems are not modular like some of Vance and Hines' other systems. Specifically, that means you can't take a mufflers only system later and upgrade it to a full system. You have to purchase a separate full system and then you can no longer use those mufflers. So think about the long play. Think about what your end game is for your motorcycle. If you just want something that looks a little bit nicer and you want a little more bark from stock, a mufflers only system is definitely the way to go. However, if you know that eventually you're going to want a little more oomph out of that motorcycle, the full system is going to get you where you want to be. You're still going to get the great looks, you're still going to get the great sound. However, it will also help you as you upgrade the rest of your motorcycle get the most out of it. Now, let's delve right into installation and talk about sort of the differences between one and the other. Now, we talked earlier about how the straight shot mufflers are going to be a 1 out of 3 beard installation level. So when you have your stock Harley motorcycle, you'll be looking at one of the pipes and it will look very similar to this one because this is a stock pipe off of a Sportster. Now, what you'll wind up doing to install those is you will loosen the nut rather for the Torque clamp, back the muffler off of each one of the pipes. You're going to reinstall the new muffler as well as the heat shields, retighten that clamp, and you are pretty much set to fly. You're set to go. It's not a very difficult install. Most people can do it in their garage very quickly with simple hand tools. Now, when you move into a full system exhaust, installation isn't much more difficult. You're still going to wind up loosening up the pipes. You're going to pull off your old ones. One of the things you are going to have to consider if you have a fuel-injected motorcycle is the removal and reinstallation of the oxygen sensors. You're still going to have to deal with the heat shields. It's slightly more difficult on the full coverage exhaust simply because it's a larger shield that you have to get into place and more clamps you have to tighten. Again, none of this is difficult. The only reason we're really bumping it up into the 2 out of 3 beard category is because of some of the additional stuff you have to do. Most of you are going to wind up with a high flow air cleaner of some sort. That's almost a given. But the definite one we're going to encourage you to do is bump up the fuel system. These things run crazy lean out of the factory, and you're going to exacerbate that condition with the new exhaust. So you are going to wind up putting a fuel tuner on there. That's also not difficult. However, it is going to add a little bit of time to the installation. You're going to want to do all 3 of those things if you're considering an air filter at one time. So just budget your time appropriately for that installation. As always, we do encourage you to pick up a set of fresh exhaust gaskets. Feel free to use the bike finder and find your exhaust gaskets and throw a set of those in there while you're doing your exhaust. Now, if you have questions about this, click below. Check out what some other riders are saying about this. My opinion is not the only one that matters, although you should know that I have a Buell at home with a Vance and Hines on it, as well as a big twin that's also wearing a separate system. I really like them. If you have questions beyond that, of course, you can always give us a call, 877-792-9455. We'll get you a Gear Geek live on the line, or you can send us an email, cs@revzilla.com. I'm Lemmy. I'm out of here.